Okay, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much for waiting for me all the time. But as a matter of fact, as I said, two reasons actually that happened today. First of all, I overslept for some reason. I don't know why, but maybe I was too exhausted. And this is my first time to happen throughout my whole life to oversleep for on some, a class, before a class. So forgive me, please. Then this one second thing is I discovered that even if I was awake, I had a terrible technical problem with my internet connection, and my husband was, on and off, trying on and off, but finally, alhamdulillah, he succeeded in dealing with the issue. Okay, so thank you very, very much for your patience, and I ask for your, please, for your forgiveness, okay? So let's start, inshallah. Today, first of all, thank you very much. Who else? Mohammed, Abdul Hamid, and Marwa. How are you all? How's everyone? How's life?
As usual.
Life is as usual. What? I need another adjective after as usual. As usual, what?
Delightful.
Okay. Look at Ala, smile, mashallah, tabarakallah. Ala is always smiling, and she's one of the positive people who's always pessimistic or optimistic. Pessimistic person or an optimistic person? Optimistic person, yes. She's an optimistic person who always has a positive look towards her life and towards the future, which is perfect. Anyway, so today, inshallah, we're going to, is Isma here yet? Isma? She's not here yet. Okay. So, inshallah, now I'm going to share my screen with you because we're going to start firstly with number one vocabulary lesson. Our first vocabulary lesson that we're going to have, and we're going to apply based on the information that we're going to have today. All right? So, first of all, vocabulary.
You have to prepare Collins vocabulary or no need?
Well, this is, yes, you can open your hard copy as well. But anyway, we're going to share the book together. So there's no need.
Okay.
Once there is a need, I will tell you. Don't worry about this.
Okay.
Okay. So, Ielts and my resources. A minute, please. Here we go. Collins vocabulary. Did you guys download Collins vocabulary book?
For
me, no.
Okay, for you, no. I ask you to please download it, okay? Because today, inshallah, we're going to have some assignment from this book. Also, we're going, okay, am I sharing my screen with you? I believe yes. So if you're not done yet with downloading this book, I urge you please to start downloading it, Mohammed. All right, because it is considered to be one of the most important resources that we're going to rely on. Okay, so here we go. Here we go, Collins vocabulary for IELTS. Okay, in this book, as you may see, you will have a lot of topics here. Topic 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, until topic 16, no, 20. There are 20 topics that cover almost 20 frequent or most frequent topics that are usually covered in the IELTS speaking and writing tests. Okay, so these are the most common and frequent topics that are usually covered in the IELTS test. And they are providing us with many vocabulary words. These vocabulary words are not only nouns, they're also verbs, adjectives, adverbs, and many other related words. Sometimes they give us and they teach us collocations, suffixes, and prefixes, and much more. Okay, what is good about this book? Here is the topic, and for the vocabulary nouns, For example, they are telling you what are you going to learn in specific in each lesson. So here, nouns for people and relationships, adjectives that describe a character. For the skills needed, what is the skill needed for? Well, it's needed for answering the exercises related to this lesson. So they are going to join your learning to this vocabulary to the listening skill. Do we have any sub-skills that are required for learning this lesson? Yes. What are they? Recognizing adjectives from their endings, which we call the prefixes, working out the meaning of words from listening context, and finally the exam will be focusing on the listening, section 4 and MCQs. MCQ, I mean by MCQ, multiple choice questions. So I give you a question and you're required to answer either A, B, C, or D, okay? And the same would go for the rest of the lessons. So today, inshallah, we're going to learn about people and relationships. I believe that this lesson is not that difficult, yet it is very important for a very important topic that you usually encounter in your IELTS test, either directly or indirectly, okay? So for example, if you're asked to describe your role model in life, or your dear friend, or your best friend, or your manager that you really like or you don't like, one of your family members, and so on. These are very good adjectives and very nice to describe and modify people around you, okay? So let's start with the first one here. People in relationships. People in relationships. Okay, thank you, Asma. So who would like to read? Let's start with Mai. Mai,
Hello.
yes, dear. Hey guys, I ask you to please mute all your microphones. Okay, mute all the microphones. Only the person who is reading is supposed to open her microphone. Yes, Mai, please.
Me?
Yes, please.
Client. Noun, a client of a professional person or organization is a person that receives a service from them in return and payment. A selector and his client. The company requires the clients to pay substantial fees in advance.
All right. So a client of a professional person or an organization is a person that receives service from them in return for payment. This means that if you're a client for a certain company, you pay money for a certain service that you get from them. A solicitor and his client. The word solicitor, what does it mean?
A lawyer?
A lawyer, very good. Thank you, Naz. Solicitor is a lawyer, and his client, a client is the person who asks for his service in return of money. The company requires clients to pay substantial fees in advance. Substantial fees in advance. Anyone knows what's the meaning of the word substantial? Substantial? Pardon me?
Additional?
Oh, very good. Substantial. Who is this again? Naz?
Rida.
Oh, Rida. Thank you very much, Rida. Correct. Very good. Thank you very much. And it's, your knowledge reflects something. It reflects that you guys are, mashallah, tabarakallah, very much aware of the English language, and you have good range of vocabulary words. And my request is, whenever you have an IELTS question that you're required to answer, please kindly try to avoid the simple and low range of vocabulary words. As I said before, do not use the word small, fat, short, thin, because I've noticed that some of you are still using these low range of vocabulary. Kindly try to avoid them and learn how to use other different words than the ones that are usually used by I can't say the commoners, but by the average students. Try to show that you're not an average student. You're higher than this, okay? Then we'll have the word colleague and colleagues. Yes, Marwa?
Okay. Colleague and colleagues. Noun, your colleagues are the people you work with, especially in a professional job. Female academics are still paid less than their male colleagues. In the corporate world, the best source of business are your former colleagues.
Thank you very much. Do you understand what you're reading, Marwa?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I understand. Maybe because I understand the people you want from me to illustrate it.
Yes, please.
Yeah, he told us here it's colleagues about the people who work together, especially in any professional job, in any professional working. Female. Yeah, I didn't got it was female academics are still paid less than their male colleagues.
Please. You didn't get it.
It's really
It is, yes, it's a fact. Unfortunately, it's a fact.
fact.
For example, yes, if you're working in university, which has two sections, the boys sections and the girls or males and female section, unfortunately, the male academics are still paid less than their colleagues in the male section, believe it or not. And it's still happening in Saudi Arabia. Although it's not happening in all the regions, all the Arab regions, but again, it's still happening in most of the Arab regions. Yeah. So a colleague, thank you very much, Marwa.
But this is in Europe as well?
Pardon me?
This is in Europe as well?
I don't
For the female and the male?
No, not at all. Not at all. This
Not
is
at
some
all.
kind of discrimination. Yeah, and
Uh-huh.
if this happened, the whole government would be doomed. Do you know this? If it happened in Europe, the whole government, especially the government that is responsible for this institution, will be totally destroyed and doomed because of the discrimination. If someone claimed discrimination issue, there will be lost in a blink of an eye. So this doesn't happen in Europe. No, I can't promise you. So again, the word colleague are the people who you work with. Ashwaq, employer, please.
Okay, employer. Now your employer is a person or organization that you work for. Employers who hire illegal workers. The telephone company is the country's largest employer.
Very good. Ashwaq, can you tell me what's the difference between employer and employee?
Employer mean maybe the person who owns the company.
Okay.
But employee is the person who is working in the company.
Okay, thank you very much. Correct. So the employer could be a person who owns a company and he starts to hire employees. Therefore, the employees are the people who work in a certain company or institution. Okay, so again, I'm an employer. Okay, who work for an I'm an employee who work for an employer. So if I'm working, or if I'm, for example, a lecturer in one of the universities, then I'm an employee in this university. And the university people or stakeholders are the employers. Okay? Okay, so the telephone company is the country's largest employer. Why? Because it has so many employees in it. Then we all know parents, definitely, right? Then siblings. What do I mean by the word siblings?
Siblings, brothers and sisters.
Very good. Siblings are your brothers and sisters. Very good. And your brothers are your brothers and sisters, and it's a formal word. Instead of saying brothers and sisters, you say siblings. Some studies have found that children are more friendly to younger siblings of the same sex. Or sibling rivalry often causes parents anxiety. Well, this example is a little bit a good example because it has so many nice vocabulary words to learn. Siblings or sibling rivalry. Do you know what's a rival? Who is a rival of yours?
Competition, I think.
Yes, a rival is a competitor, a person who competes with you, yeah, to get the first position, for example. So siblings rivalry, like the competition between boys and girls, often cause parents anxiety. And what's the meaning of the word anxiety?
Tension.
Very good. Anxiety, the feeling of being uncomfortable. Okay?
Uncomfortable, we can say, or
Yes,
understand.
the feeling of being uncomfortable. Okay? By the way, some of you may say that, well, we know these vocabulary words, but when it comes to learning their definitions and how to define each word by definition, memorize the definition of the words. Also, learn the new vocabulary words that would add a lot to your knowledge. Okay? Then we'll have the word spouse. Who is your spouse, Muhammad?
Wife.
Very good. Are you Muhammad?
Wife or
No.
husband?
Okay. So yes.
Sorry.
And
I'm sorry.
no problem there. So Muhammad, your spouse is your wife. And the same, if I ask your wife who is your spouse, she will say, my spouse is. Okay? So a spouse is a husband or a wife. Okay? And it's a formal word again. It's usually written in contracts. Instead of writing wife or husband, it's a more formal word, which means your husband or wife. And for example, here, husbands and wives do not have to pay any inheritance tax when their spouse dies. Do you guys know what's inheritance tax? Anyone has lived in the United States or America before?
Inheritance tax.
Okay, what's inheritance tax?
This is inheritance tax. This is if the husband leave a house or a land, she will not pay tax for it.
Yes,
or for the money or something.
thank you. So inheritance tax are the fees that you pay to the government. And inheritance, the money that you inherit means the money that you get after someone's death. Inherit means something that is taken from the previous generation or the past people. All right? So again, inheritance tax means fees that are related to the people who passed away. All right? So again, the example, husbands and wives do not have to pay any inheritance tax when their spouse dies. Then we'll move to another word, which is yes, we'll move to the word autonomous. Autonomous. Anyone? Zahra? Zahra, read please.
Autonomous, adjective, an autonomous person makes their own decisions rather than being influenced by someone else. They proudly declared themselves part of a new autonomous defines liberal idea of the autonomous individual.
Okay, autonomous and autonomous person, a person who makes their own decision rather than being influenced by someone else. لما حد يقول لك الراجل ده بدماغ قراره من دماغه, this is an autonomous person. A person who never thinks about others or never considers others' opinion. A person who is self-independent. يعني they usually make their own opinions with their own mind without seeking somebody's advice. Okay, autonomous. And sometimes we can call that the government is such an autonomous government because they don't rely on their people to make decisions. So the liberal idea of the autonomous individual. And by the way, this word is called as autonomous. And again, if you look, can you see my mouse? Where is it going here? Can you see my mouse? Where is it moving?
Yes.
Okay, this is the word influenced. It's not influenced. Influenced. Again, influenced. Okay? And this word is employee. Again, employee. It's not employee. Not employee. It's employee. Employee. Okay? Okay, then we'll have the word consistent. Someone is consistent, always behaves in the same way, or has the same attitudes towards people or things, or achieves the same level of success in something. Like, for example, Becker has never been the most consistent of players anyway. Consistent, yani a person who has his own goal to achieve, and he works really hard to achieve this goal. So he's very consistent. And consistent has another synonym. Do you guys know what's the synonym of consistent? Another synonym. Synonym means the meaning in one word. So when I ask you for a synonym, I ask you for another meaning to the same word. So what's the meaning of consistent?
Insistent.
Insistent, well, that
Similar.
is another synonym. Huh?
Similar.
No, not similar at all. When I say
Persistent?
huh?
Persistent?
Very good.
Persistent?
Stick to something.
This is Naz or who? Ashwaq?
Yes, persistent.
Persistent, very good. Persistent is the proper word to be used. A persistent person, a person who keeps his eye on his goal and works really hard on achieving it. Okay, persistent. And the way the spelling is Persistent. I repeat, Persistent. Persistent person is a consistent person. Okay? Okay.
Stuck.
What's that, Rida?
Stuck.
No, you mean
Can
that
be. It can
yes, a hard-minded person. Hard-minded. But hard-minded person, no. Hard-minded person means that he or she is a stubborn person. Stubborn person, a person who insists on his or his own opinion. Never change their mind. They're not flexible enough to change their opinions. Yeah,
Okay.
which gives a different meaning, Rida, actually.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Then we'll have the word convenient. A convenient person or someone who is conventional has behavior and opinions that are ordinary and normal. For example, if you notice here, this bullet means that this is an example. Why do they give us examples? Because we have to learn how to use words in context. And this is one of the very good points about the book, because they put the word in a context so that we learn how to use it in context. A respectable married woman with conventional opinions is a good wife, for example, or is a perfect lady. All right. So again, a respectable married woman with conventional opinions is a perfect lady. Conventional here means that her opinions are very ordinary and normal. She doesn't go to any extremes. She has no extremes in life. Okay? Her points of view are very normal and ordinary, like everyone's way of thinking. Okay? So when I ask Abdul Hamid, for example, about his wife's way of thinking, and he says that, well, I'm so glad that my wife has very conventional points of view. Conventional points of view. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, great. Then we'll move to the word cooperative. We all know what's cooperative. It's cooperative or cooperative. Both pronunciation are correct, cooperative or cooperative. So a cooperative or cooperative person as an adjective, if you say that someone is cooperative, you mean that they do what you ask them without complaining or arguing. So for example, I can say that, well, Asma is such a cooperative assistant. Yes? Why? Because she does whatever is required from her without complaining, mashallah. The president said the visit would develop friendly and cooperative relations between the two countries, or a contented and cooperative workforce. Contented here means happily done. When something is done very happily, this is a contented. Okay? Okay, then we'll have the word efficient. When you, okay, let me ask Let me ask Naz, whom in your life you can describe to be an efficient person?
I can say that my supervisor is a quite efficient person
And why do you describe her to be an efficient person?
because she is always doing her job and on time. Like the work is on time and she's quite efficient.
Mm-hmm. Is it all because she's on time? An efficient person?
It's her work is on time, and she tries to like meet us and guide us properly and in a good
Yes.
way.
Very good. Excellent.
It's
In another way,
about everything. Yeah.
Pardon me again?
It's about her overall work.
Overall attitude at work. Very good. Thank you very much. So if someone or something is efficient, they are able to do tasks successfully without wasting time or energy. Today, with today's more efficient contraception, women can play their families, can plan their families and careers. Again, with today's more efficient contraception, women can plan their families and careers. So efficient contraception means efficient or very successfully planned plans or understanding. The women can simply plan to have a successful life with their either families or their careers together. Okay? Technological advances allow more efficient use of labor. Labor are workers. Who can tell me what's the difference between laborers and employees?
Can I say that?
Yes, please.
The labor is the person who does the like more hard-working job, like which involves the physical hardships.
Technical jobs only.
Yes.
And this is the labor, and the employee is the person who can be working as an office work or secretary or it can be a teacher like me.
Okay, yes. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Well, there is a big difference between a laborer and an employee. A laborer is usually doing the physical or mental effort, yes, especially with, difficult and challenging tasks or the compulsory ones when he's obliged to do it. Compulsory tasks, like maids, for example, are laborers. And drivers are laborers. Why? Because sometimes they do extra physical effort that is not that they are obliged to do. Okay, they have no choice on doing it, or they have no choice but to do it. Then we'll have the word flexible. When you describe someone that he or she is a flexible person, what's the opposite of flexible?
Reluctant.
The antonym. Sorry?
Reluctant.
Reluctant or?
Rigid person?
Very good. Rigid.
Rigid.
Just like strict. Well, rigid is more like strict. But I believe that the best antonym that could be given here, by the way, antonym means the opposite in one word. So today we're going to learn two words. Synonym, which is the meaning in one word. Its opposite is antonym, which is the opposite in one word. So the antonym of flexible, well, my father is not a flexible person. He's such a stubborn, strict, kind of, yes. But it's more like stubborn. A stubborn person is a person who doesn't easily change his or her mind. Okay? We also, we can also...
How we can write it? Sorry.
What's that?
What the word again?
Stubborn. 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 Also, we have the word dominant. Dominant. A dominant person who is the person who is always in control of things, okay? And does not usually listen to others around. Dominant person, all right? So the word flexible is an adjective. Something or someone that is flexible is able to change easily and adapt to different conditions and circumstances. Like, for example, more flexible arrangements to allow access to services after normal working hours, or we encourage flexible working. And we'll have the word idealistic. When you describe someone that he or she is an idealistic person, what does it mean? Now, Zahra.
Perfect.
Yes, please.
Idealistic.
Yes.
Adjective. If you describe someone as idealistic, you mean that they have ideals and base their behavior on these ideals.
On these ideals. Yes. Even if they are impractical. Thank you very much, Zahra. So idealistic young people died for the cause, or an oversimplistic and idealistic vision of family dynamics, for example, led to many troubles. Okay? So here the word idealistic, when you say that this person is an idealistic person, is a person who wants to do everything in an ideal way, no matter whether they are practical or impractical. Okay? We move to the word tolerant, Mohammed.
Tolerant is an adjective. If you describe someone as tolerant, you approve of the fact that they allow other people to say and do as they like, even if they don't agree with or like. So mainly it's a democratic, let's say. They need to be tolerant of different point of view. Other changes include more tolerant attitudes to unmarried couples having children.
Yes, it's more like democratic, but you know, it's more individual than democratic. Democratic is more like to important people in the society and to the government, yes. So a tolerant person is a good, flexible person who accepts other people's opinion around. Okay, does not argue much or does not. So, for example, you can say that a tolerant kid, yes, a tolerant kid is a big gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or from God. Yeah, because he doesn't or she doesn't argue much. Then we'll have the word vulnerable. Vulnerable. Someone who's vulnerable is weak and without protection, with the result that they are easily hurt physically or emotionally. Vulnerable. So old people are particularly vulnerable members of our society. You know, a person who is easily hurt emotionally or physically is a person who is vulnerable. So, for example, you can say that, well, I have such an emotional daughter who is very vulnerable to the extent that she cannot withstand staying in the same school for 2 years. Why? Because she's emotionally hurt, easily hurt. Yes?
Sensitive.
Very good. This is the perfect synonym, Mohammed. Thanks a lot. Is this Mohammed?
Yes.
Yes, very good. A vulnerable person is a sensitive person. Or you can say that my grandfather became very vulnerable after he reached the 70s. This means that he started to be, you know, like very emotionally weak. He started to shout at the kids around. They don't like very much noise around and so on. Okay? That's a vulnerable or a sensible person. Or, sorry, sensitive person. Here, we'll start with the first exercise. Quickly, answer the first exercise individually, not in groups. In your paper, please.
Question number 1, that's Hind only, yeah?
Yes. Okay, so Marwa,
Yeah, finished.
Yalla, tell me.
Yeah, B with C with E. Parents, siblings, suppose.
Spouse.
Spouse.
Okay.
Yeah, and the client with colleague and employer.
Very good. Thank you. So do you guys agree with this answer?
Yes.
Yes, great. Okay. And now we'll move to the second exercise, which is this exercise here, the listening exercise. Okay, are you guys ready?
Collins English for Exams. Vocabulary for IELTS. Copyright HarperCollins Publishers 2012. Track 1. Speaker 1. I've learned a lot from so many people, but I suppose the person that stands out is my colleague Lynn. When I started working at the firm, my employer didn't give me a lot of formal training, so I had to learn on the job. I was given the desk next to Lynn, and she explained everything to me. She was incredibly efficient. She knew the job so well, and she made it look so easy. Speaker 2.
The person I admire the most is probably my boss. She really knows what she wants to achieve with the organisation, but at the same time, she is so flexible and open to new ideas. She really takes an interest not only in her clients, but also in her employees. She really listens to what they have to say.
Speaker 3. I suppose the relationship I've found most difficult, but ultimately most rewarding, has been my relationship with my younger brother. Different from me in almost every way you can imagine. I'm the kind of person who likes to get things done, but he is a real dreamer, so idealistic. It used to drive me crazy, but over the years, I've come to really admire him for following his dreams.
Okay, now I have a very serious question. Would you like me to repeat the recording again, or you got it?
Yes, please, because number 3 I didn't got. Maybe.
Okay, you didn't.
Yes, Hind, please.
Repeat it? Okay. So, once more, but please more focus, pay more attention.
Collins English for Exams. Vocabulary for IELTS. Copyright HarperCollins Publishers 2012. Track 1. Speaker 1. I've learned a lot from so many people, but I suppose the person that stands out is my colleague Lynn. When I started working at the firm, my employer didn't give me a lot of formal training, so I had to learn on the job. I was given the desk next to Lynn, and she explained everything to me. She was incredibly efficient. She knew the job so well, and she made it look so easy. Speaker 2.
The person I admire the most is probably my boss.
So, number 1 was what?
Colleague.
Colleague.
Do they ask you to tell who is this person? No.
Efficient.
They say, yes, very good. They say indicate the person each speaker describes by writing a letter A to F from exercises 1 in each space. Have you read this? So number
Yes.
1 is what? Number 1
D.
is what again?
D.
D.
Colleague.
Colleague, very good.
Colleague.
But you have to mention D. And what is the description that he gave?
Efficient.
Very good. Efficient. Excellent.
Efficient.
Okay. So you guys.
Cooperative.
Cooperative?
Cooperative.
No, not yet. No. Efficient was the most repeated one here, or the most dominant and, the most clear one, clear adjective given to this person. Okay, let's move to number 2.
She really knows what she wants to achieve with the organisation, but at the same time, she is so flexible and open to new ideas. She really takes an interest not only in her clients, but also in her employees. She really listens to what they have to say.
No?
F and flexible.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Yes,
here and
employer
flexible. Yeah.
and flexible. Excellent job. Well done.
Speaker 3. I suppose the relationship I found most difficult, but ultimately most rewarding, has been my relationship with my younger brother. He's different from me in almost every way you can imagine. I'm the kind of person who likes to get things done, but he is a real dreamer, so idealistic. It used to drive me crazy, but over the years, I've come to really admire him for following his dreams.
C and
Idealistic.
idealistic.
English phrase.
Idealistic.
Dreamer
So,
and realistic.
very good. C, sibling and idealistic. Okay. So again, we can add another adjective to this person. He's always following his dreams. So he's very
Dreamer.
Autonomous.
huh?
Autonomous.
No. No.
Efficient or
No.
Idealistic.
Insistence.
Vulnerable. Vulnerable.
What's that?
Vulnerable.
No. It's right in front of you.
Fictional. No.
Consistent and is not true. Consistent.
Excellent job. A consistent person is a person who's always following their dreams. Yes? Okay, so they don't give up. A consistent person is a person who never gives up. All right? Okay, so now I would love to write some. I'll stop sharing my screen. And I will start with something else. Let's see. Allow me, please, a minute, only 1 minute. And I hope you can see my screen well now. So, can you guys see me? Yes? Okay, great. So, now we're going to have a question. This question says, what is your model? Would you please mute your microphones, ladies and gentlemen? What are the good traits about him or her? What are some bad traits about them that you believe they have to change or reconsider? And finally, what personal attributes can make a successful leader, or a good leader, a great leader, a successful one? So how many questions do I have here? I have 4 questions. The first question, can you guys see my board clearly?
No.
Can you see my board
Yes, we can.
clearly, everyone? Okay, so the first question, who is your role model? Okay. And here you can say, what is the relationship between you and this person? What are the good traits? And if you notice, the word traits is the same as the word attributes. So what are the good traits about him or her? Traits means personal attributes or personal characteristics. So traits equals the word characteristics or attributes. Okay, so what are the good traits about him or her? What are some bad traits that about them that you believe they have to change or reconsider? And finally, what personal attributes can make a great leader a successful one? I just ask you please to take a screenshot with your mobiles. Take a screenshot, please. Oh, pardon me. Sorry. Take a screenshot to my screen. Done? And now you're given 1 minute to plan for your answers. Plan your answers now, please. 1 minute starting from now. It's 8:24, 8:25. We will start our breakthrough rooms.
And it will be related together, connected together, all the answers, or individuals question, I don't know. And the second and third questions is related for the first one?
Yes, the four questions are related to each other, yes.
Was maybe, okay, thank you.
Would you like to have a look at the screen again? Yes, no?
No, thank you.
Are you sure?
Yes,
I'm sure.
I need. Yes,
All right.
I need.
Here it is. Have a look at my screen once more. Take a screenshot with your mobiles, please. All done?
Just a minute.
Okay. Before we start, I want you guys to remind me with the most important speaking tips that we have to consider before we start speaking. Mohammed.
Sorry, can you repeat again?
What are the most important, Mohammed, it's better if you say, would you please? Would you please? Yes. Would you please repeat again? Or I beg your pardon, or pardon me, or pardon only, okay? Because if you say to someone or ask someone saying, can you? Yes, everyone can, yeah? So can you repeat again? Definitely I can. But would you please? This is a request. Yeah, if you say, can I, you're asking about the ability, whether I can do it or not. So I can do it, yes. But whether I agree or not, this is a different issue, right? So now I ask you to please remind with the most important tips before that I have to consider before I start giving my speaking answer or speaking presentation.
Okay, the first step is starting by starting words like definitely, in fact, and so on.
Introductory phrases.
Yes. The second point is try to use complex sentences and compound sentences, not only a simple one.
This is called the what?
Grammatic structure.
Variety of
vocabulary. Okay.
Variety of sentences. Okay, that's a good one. What else, Mohammed?
The third point, try to keep an eye on the pronunciation, knowing that the interviewer will focus about 4 things to evaluate us. One of them is the pronunciation.
Okay.
And the fourth point is try to keep another eye on the grammar, try to avoid mistakes, especially in the tenses. Finally, if you don't have, I would say,
to watch the tense of the question. If the question is in the present simple, then we'll have to give the answer in the same tense, like present, past, future, present perfect, or whatever. So if you notice here, this is a question that asks you about who is your role model, which means that you have to talk about fact, This means that you have to use the present simple tense, and sometimes you may need to use the past simple if you're talking about someone who passed away. Okay?
The next point is try to use a wide range of vocabularies. Try to use high words.
Very good, very good. Thank you very much. Abdul Hamid, more tips, please. Abdul Hamid.
WH question? WH question?
Yani in case you're stuck, you will need to use the WH questions. You may need it. Yes, what else you may need?
I need to digression.
Yeah, you need to add a digression point so that if you, yes,
I can use only my own vocabulary in according to my background.
Very good. Your terminology that is related to your career and your specification. Very good. Very good. What else? I gave you a very short tip that really works well last time. I said first I have to start with the introductory phrase. What about the second and third sentence? How would I start them?
I started to complex or compound sentence to don't forget.
Very good. Like using what?
Although in the first of the sentence, maybe.
Although, because.
Subordinate conjunction.
Very good. Do not start with a coordinate conjunction. You rather start with a subordinate conjunction. Subordinate, like in order to, though, although, if, unless, before, after, since, while, when. All these words are subordinate conjunctions, or you can even use the relative pronouns like who, what, who, which, that, whose, and whom. Understand? Yeah? Okay.
Yes.
So any more tips that I may have forgotten? You guys can teach IELTS now.
I would like to add.
Yes, please. Yes.
Yeah, you said that we need to use the vocabulary for our profession, like from our professional vocabulary, like which we use it on our daily basis in our workplace.
Yes.
So you need to use the what do you call it?
Okay, you can use your own terminology now. This means that
terminology.
Yes, you as a teacher, Naz, you can use the word comprehend. You're aware of the Bloom's taxonomy, as you told me before, right?
Yeah.
So you can use comprehend, understand, evaluate, personalize, the literary devices that you know, personification, devices, literature, and other words that are added to your dictionary because you work in this career, right? So whatever words that you think belong to you and belong to your career and would make your answer a different and distinguished answer than anybody else's, pardon me, so don't please hesitate to use them, okay?
Yeah.
Mohammed as an engineer, others as medical representatives or pharmacists, others as even housewives, they have their own terminology, yeah? Okay, let's start now. Breakthrough rules. Are you guys ready?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Then automatically create rooms. Open all rooms now. Were you invited to your rooms or not yet? Muhammad.
Ready?
Okay. As a matter of fact, my role model was a professor that was teaching to us at college, and she was very patient, very sincere in her and committed to her work, and she was using a diversity of means to explain by practical methods and visual aids. And she was also very very welcoming to help us outside
Let me interrupt
her
you.
work hours.
Let me interrupt you, please. Use as much or as many vocabulary words that you just learned today. Do your best in doing this. Say Mohammed, please. Okay? And don't forget to play your stopwatch. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Hello, May.
Hello.
No one is with
As
you?
usual. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, how's that?
This is
Okay, just a minute.
for my second time. Okay.
Oh, for the second time. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Tell me your answer, please. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, okay. Never mind. This is an interesting question. Since I was young, I used to follow my father in all his actions. My father is my role model. He is an autonomous person. In other words, although his father was a prosperous, he preferred to be independent. My father is a teacher. One of my father's good traits that he is idealistic and has a specific behaviors. He is also a tolerant person and accepts the other's point of view even they are different. But one of the bad traits he has is the flexibility. He is a flexible person. I think that just wait.
No problem.
Because I think that this trait mistaken by others. So I think he must change this and before more firm. For a great leader, the great leader must be.
Never mind, please.
Must be efficient. Sorry for interruption.
No problem, no problem. Your baby needs to go to the washroom, I think, right?
Yeah.
No, no problem. I leave the room. Okay, you go now.
Okay, thank you.
Flexible in everything.
Yes.
Hello?
Yeah.
Yes,
and be consistent and tolerant for your job. I finished.
Are you playing the stopwatch, Abdul Hamid?
Yes, I played for me and for her. For me, I talked for 1 minute and 46 seconds, and for her, 1 minute and 35 seconds.
But no, she has to keep on talking. Both of you have to keep on talking for
2 minutes.
continuously 2 minutes. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, and again, you can give comments on hers based on the tips that we gave today, and she can do the same. Okay? Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We'll make it again.
His personal relationship with him. That's fine, I think.
Yes. Okay. Because you know.
So, should I start the timer?
Because I understand from the questions you have to write the bad points and positive points you see in the relationship. I don't know my understanding is right or no.
Yeah, you have to cover the 4 questions which are given on the board. Also, you have to play your audio, your stopwatch and you can give comments on each other's presentations based on the tips that we have already revised. Okay?
Yes, and I understand that I should speak about a relationship.
Yes, yes, as you may see on the board, number 1 question, who is your role model and what's the relationship between you? So he can be a friend, a spouse, employee, a relative, a neighbor, or whatever, okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay.
On in medical promotion, and I don't know how to speak with doctors, because mainly we go to doctors and speak about or talk about our medication benefits for the patient or for their patient, and how this medication add value for their patient. And on that time, that company was a local company, different from the company that I work now, because now I'm working in international company. And in local companies, there is no system or training function on the company. And he was supporting me in every step. First, he trained me in the office. Then he went with me for some of the doctors that they were close to him on that time. A partner for him in the business.
Ashwaq, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry for the interruption, Dean. But first of all, Asma, are you playing your stopwatch?
Yes, we started, and then Ashwaq had a short answer, maybe for 1 minute.
Yes.
Then we started to repeat and add more examples.
Excellent, excellent. So you have to play the stopwatch. This is
hear
1. 2, you can give comments on each other's presentations, okay? Based on the tips that I gave you today and the ones we revised a while ago, okay? Thank you very much. Okay, welcome back. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Oh.
Thank you. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Well, I had a tour in your rooms, guys, and I discovered something that is really interesting. Well, I found out that you guys got the guts to start to speak out whatever you feel and whatever you think. Now you started to have the courage to express your thoughts and your ideas, which is really good. This is something that is, to me, very reassuring, you know. It makes me feel comfortable that we are starting to break the ice and the barriers between ourselves and the language, okay? This is something that we used to fear, and we used to be very much afraid of, because you had this, this belief that people may think that I'm speaking in a wrong way or I may make mistakes. But since you have this feeling of everybody makes mistakes and we're all here to learn, you started to speak out whatever you want to express yourself with, which is really good. So, do you guys have any comments on this on these breakthrough rooms? Any comments about them? Good or positive, bad things about them, positive things about them?
I could say that it's a good way of, it's like a cooperative learning, which we also apply in our learning strategies.
Correct. What's best about it? It is a collaborative learning. You learn by your colleague. Your colleague gives you and you take from her too. She gives you or he gives you and you learn. We exchange ideas and thoughts, which is your ideas.
Really.
Interactive.
Interactive one. Thank you very much.
Interactive.
Very good. So now, synonym. Yes, the opposite of something is the synonym of it. No, the synonym is the meaning. Sorry, guys. Synonym is meaning. You're confused.
Antonym is opposite.
Yes, the antonym is the opposite. Okay. So, very good.
Opposite what?
Again, the synonym, Marwa, is the meaning in one word. Synonym. I will write it on the board.
Please.
Okay, sure. See, and let's divide the word into syllables. This is see, no, nims. See, no, nims. And the opposite is an, to, nims. Antonyms. So synonyms, antonyms. Got it?
Yes, thank you.
Synonym is the meaning in one word. Antonym is the opposite in one word. All right, and now I'm going to share another speaking test with you, okay? I really wanted to, comment on your presentations today. Well, you guys are doing better in regards with the courage and the guts to start to speak out. But again, when it comes to the grammar, I believe that your biggest issue and your main concern is the grammar mistakes. Grammar mistakes is your main concern that you should focus on. Most of you are making fatal mistakes, fatal ones. And what do I mean by the word fatal ones? These are killing that can take your score down to the earth. So I don't want you to destroy your presentations and all the skills that you're learning by doing so many grammatical mistakes. Okay? We're going to take one speaking test right now, and then inshallah we're going to cover another one grammar lesson, not another grammar lesson, a new grammar lesson, okay? For now, I'm going to end up my session. This is 1 hour and 7 minutes. I will end it up for 5 minutes break. We'll come back after 5 minutes, okay? Thank you very much, and see you in 5 minutes, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. 8:50, inshallah.